So Tyler and I are out at my dad's house. He's on his 125. He does a lot of riding out here. And when we first bought his bike, it actually had the Pro Circuit exhaust on it. I took that off, even though it actually wasn't that bad for noise. But I took that off and sold it, got 225 bucks for it, just because we wanted to keep the noise down. We got a lot of bikes out here sometimes. But what I did with that money though, is I bought a Dynojet tuner for him, because this bike is EFI. I almost bought it from CJR for $430. For $430, they give you one of their free tunes, but from Mad Power Sports, I got this with a 10% off coupon. They had a sale. So I got this for about 330 bucks. So I saved $100. And right now we're just on a stock bike. I'm gonna pull the snorkel out of the airbox and everything. But what we wanna do for today is see if this tuner with just the stock Dynojet tune can tune out the flat spot the Honda has. And so I'll put a dynograph up here so you can see it, but essentially, and I don't think he really fully gets it yet, as you ride the bike, once you get around, I think it's 5,500 or 6,000 RPMs, it just flattens off. It just doesn't keep running up like it should. Honda programmed that on purpose because this is a lot of people's first time bike. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have him run around, run a couple laps. I'm gonna have him probably over here do a quick little drag strip. He's not consistent enough with the clutch to necessarily time it, but what we wanna capture is, can you hear that motor flatten out as it goes? And then once we put the tuner on, hopefully the RPM band will curve like a motor normally should. So we don't know. We're trying to do some tests beforehand, before we do the tune. So let's go ahead and capture some riding before we do that, and then we'll see what it feels like afterwards. And also we've got some brake levers, clutch levers, gear shifter, some other stuff to put on for him. So we're gonna go tinker in the shop. Oh, and final thing, under here in Tyler's elbow, he's got 3 stitches because he dumped the bike over just in a t-shirt, tore his grip right here. He wasn't even going that fast. That's how it goes. But yeah, so he went down, split his elbow open. He's got 3 stitches. So you don't push it too hard, okay? Because I'm gonna stitch it if you do it again. Okay, all right, let's get the camera on him. Tyler's bike, we're gonna hop in second gear for this. So right here I'm off idle, so as I accelerate I feel the bike start to go. Feels like a normal power curve. But as I get up here, we started to lose that acceleration. It starts to go away. So I'm gonna call it out when I think it's getting flat. Flat. There's just very little going on to it. It keeps pulling, but it's not doing anything. So we're not doing it much right here. It just wants to hang out without ever hitting the rev limiter. So let's do that again, and just watch how it doesn't want to find the rev limiter. It just takes forever to get to where it's trying to go. I think what Honda's doing is I think they're retarding the ignition and cutting the fuel back some. So I'm gonna let Tyler ride this back to the shop. We're gonna let it cool off, and then I'm gonna go find out how hard this thing is to program. So we'll show you guys that. We will be back. Okay, besides the computer for Tyler's bike, we've got a tush shifter put on today, M grips because he tore his other ones when he fell. And I've got the adapter for the 125 110. And then we kept the clutch off his YZ65, and I'm gonna put this on first because I'm curious. This is a brake lever that fits the 250F. They don't list it as fitting the 125. So anyway, we're gonna get these mods on for him as well, while we also let it bike cool off and then get the computer on. Okay, so I'm starting the process of slowly trying to figure this out. So behind the panel on the right hand side is the port that you hook up to. And so we've got that. So here, that's going to plug into the tuner, obviously. According to the software, my tuner with USB cable is on the correct firmware, I believe. And so I'm just going to make sure, see if there's any other tunes, or I mean, is there anything else I need to do or download before we start playing with it? Now, as far as the intake goes, since we're going to be opening it up, I'm going to get this snorkel out. I don't know if I have to cut it or if it just pops out. So the snorkel's coming out. I don't know that I'm going to open the airbox up too much. Has a backfire screen. I'm probably going to leave that, but I might go to like an uni or twin air filter. But this, for today, the snorkel's coming out, and that's about it. So what you did is you plugged in the Dynojet to the computer, turn the key on, and it'll tell you when it's downloaded what it's needed. Once it's downloaded what it's needed, on the website, I uploaded the PV file. Once I did that, Dynovision's website showed me what files were available. And so I've got a 16.08.001 stock file and a 101 file, which is for CRF, stock exhaust, stock intake. I can hit download, and it downloads it. Now, I believe that was already on the device, but when you connect your Power Vision with USB, the Power Vision just shows up like a folder in File Explorer here. So what I'm gonna do, I hate this trackpad. Anyway, I'm gonna take the file I just downloaded, Dynojet Tune. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy it over to the Dynojet, just because I don't know if this is a newer version. I doubt it. And so I'm gonna say replace the file. So we're downloading that file. It says date modified 6/26/2022. So now, following the instructions, we're going to disconnect here from the computer. So I'm going to unplug here. I'm going to plug in here. Okay, we're clipped on, turn the key on. So now, this is going to cycle through, and we're just going to follow the prompts on the screen. So it says it's found everything, so hit, that looks like okay. And so I could either flash stock or I can flash the Dynojet. So I'm gonna hit okay. So this is saying stock exhaust, stock intake, hit this to start the flash. Pair this device to connected vehicle. Now this is important because once you pair this, this tuner will only work with this bike. And then if you want to pair it with other bikes that are compatible, like we're gonna do our 110, you have to buy additional licenses, but you can do that. So I'm gonna continue. File cleanup, delete incompatible files, sure. Flash tune with selected file, yes. Okay, so now it is preparing, and we're gonna see how long it takes to flash the computer with an updated tune, and then we will come back. Okay, so it says flash complete. To verify, turn key off, then on. So go ahead and turn the key off, Liam.
And then off again?
Nope, leave it on. Okay. It looks like we're good. So, and I don't know what my options are from here. It looks like I have all these, I know all these channels I can program to display things. Let's go, I can go back maybe, I don't know. Okay, hold on. Go ahead and rev it a little bit, Liam. We're doing a data log. Rev it up some. Rev it any different? We didn't rev it neutral much. Do it again. Yeah, that revved better. Oh, and look, there's a little timer up here of how long we're data logging. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this to stop.
Saving log, saving log.
Okay, so I'm gonna shut the bike off and tinker a little bit, put it back together. Our idle is definitely off, but there's a difference in the bike. Okay, so besides the computer mod, what do we got? We got the shifter on today. We got the EMIG grips because he tore the pillow tops. And we got the pro tapers. This was the clutch on his 65. His wire, we just soldered it together, so that's all good. And then the brake, again, Pro Taper says they don't make one for the 125, but that is for the 250F. So, and then we cut off Parker, the name of the guy we bought it from. Okay, once he gets up, let's see how this goes.
With the clutch.
Hold on. The clutch grabs sooner now. Where I've adjusted it, where it's biting, you're going to take off closer to your let go. Okay, I'm gonna go take this for a ride now, and we're gonna see how the revs feel. Okay, where's Liam? Where'd he go? There he is. Okay, it's not as night and day as much as I wanted, but it is freer. So let's see as we go here. Revving. Okay, let's put in real quick without talking. Let's put in a little bit of a hot lap. Say I might have been misjudging where the RPMs picked up, because I actually feel like as you're kind of rolling off of it, whatever RPMs we're doing right here, when I punch it, it wants to go more now. So maybe this is 5,000 RPMs, I don't know, but now when I hit it, it wants to go better. It's more free revving down low. What it's not doing, and I think this, sorry, I don't want to be out of breath. What it's not doing, and I think this is more of the cam, is once I get past this lurch around, and I'd have to look at the dyno graph, we're probably around 7,000 or 8,000. It's not just free revving out. It just doesn't want to keep climbing at a fast pace. And I do believe that's the camshaft that is just not designed to be sucking hard that way. So let me see. So we're gonna get her up some. Right, we're dead right there. Right, we're dead right there. So yeah, it will definitely pick up off of low to mid RPM much better than before, way better than before. So essentially what we did is we jetted it correctly. Now we've both ridden it and we've both got our thoughts. So we're gonna do this in two parts, but we're gonna start with Tyler. Okay, Tyler, so break down for me your thoughts on what you noticed with this bike since you've had probably 6 hours riding it before we did the change.
You can rev it a lot higher without it. You can rev a lot higher.
Okay, so you can rev it higher, and did you notice any power difference? Yeah, you noticed power difference. Okay, so here comes my drawn out explanation of what I noticed. And so I think when I did the first part of the riding, and my apologies on the second part for the GoPro being in the wrong mode, but for the first part of the riding, where I thought the power band was peaking out on the graph, I think I was further across the graph than I thought I was, because the stock ECU and modified do share kind of the same low end. And so where I thought was the middle end was different than actually riding. Now riding it in the middle, this bike's completely different. It has way more just oomph and character, and it's ready to go than it did before. The over rev, let's just say far out in the power band, it's really not much different. You should have shifted sooner. And if you're that far into the power band, you're either doing it because you're right about to enter a corner, so you don't want to upshift, or, and we haven't done it on this bike, you're going for some type of top speed. Now this bike does have a 1 tooth bigger rear sprocket, so top speed test stock wouldn't have really done anything. So maybe now with some extra rev, we could do a top end test, but I don't think any of this bought us extra revs. It just changed the power characteristic of the way it's delivered. So basically one way to think of this is this tuning gave you a perfectly jetted carburetor, is the way I'd say it. So based on the intake, the exhaust, and the cam, we're just running great now. So in my standpoint, selling that exhaust for $225, buying this for the $300 and change, $100 upgrade, 100% worth it. No doubt. In fact, here's what I would tell anybody with this bike is if you're sitting here and you have a completely stock bike, don't buy an exhaust first. We rode that bike briefly with the Pro Circuit pipe just on our street tinkering around, and I did notice going uphill a little bit of loss in torque, barely. When I put the stock pipe back on, to me, it wasn't a big deal. Now we did have the spark arrestor cap in it, so maybe wide open and be different, but with the spark arrestor cap in, it was a little bit, it wasn't a lot. So if you had to look at spending $400 on an exhaust system or $400 on this computer gives you more for $400 than an exhaust. So this should be the first engine mod you do. And then if you want to put an exhaust on it, you can get a tune that matches the exhaust. So based on this bike, it might be different for other models, but for the CRF125, if you've got $400 to spend, start with the computer, get it running right, and then adjust your mods from there. Now, I will tell you, if you know you're going to do an exhaust, I would buy the computer from CJR and tell them what exhaust you're going to be putting on it, and then they'll give you the right tune to go with it. That would be my suggestion. But on here for us, wanting to keep that stock noise and now getting the extra power for it, I now have zero regrets selling the Pro Circuit. I miss it. It looked better on there, and it would have been a little more power with this. But to have a stock exhaust on here, keep the noise levels down and have that extra power, this was money well spent. So anyways, I know a lot of you don't watch the videos till the end, but if you did, thank you. Hopefully you got something out of here and you were able to gain where your money's better spent. If you own this bike, big wheel or small wheel, same thing. So thanks for watching and have a good one. Keep on riding.